Thanks for staying with us. It's time now to take a look at stories making headlines on the front page of Nigeria newspapers. And I begin with the Punch newspaper. The major story here says CBN, that's the Central Bank of Nigeria, sacks Union, Polaris, Keystone Bank's boards. And the writer here says Modibo, over 25 bank chairmen, MDs, directors asked to resign. Interim boards likely today. CBN once again panic withdrawals. And then another story here, marketers to meet Dangote over fuel supply. COVID-19 not over, 10,000 deaths recorded December. The WHO is raising this alarm. And NGX records 638 billion naira loss first in new year. Sex for Mark. Suspended Unicol Don still in prison after 250 million naira bail. Sanwo-Olu hails Otadola's 1 billion naira security donation. At the top corner, we have a do EFCC quizzes top ministry officials. ICPC recovers 50 billion naira. And another story here, Obasanjo's ex-minister Ogunloye arraigned for $6 billion Mambila contract. All the details of these stories, you find them in the Punch newspaper. To the Voice of Liberty now, the major story here, CBN sacks Titan Trust, Union Bank, Keystone Bank, Polaris Bank boards. And at the downstrip, you have the story, Tinubu upright supporting fight against graft. EFCC chair is saying, especially with regards to recent developments and unravelings that Nigerians are seeing, especially in the humanitarian ministry. Now, Asiwaju achieved in 1 week what will take Buhari a year. Omokri, that's Reno Omokri speaking. FCT, many residents kidnapped in Abuja community, please confirm. And at the top corner, Tinubu appoints 11 board members for NACON. All right. Some of the stories you find on the front page of the Voice of Liberty. To the Leadership newspaper now. The major story here, Obazee report, CBN wields big stick, he sacks banks boards, cites compliance, corporate governance infraction, Union, Keystone, Polaris banks affected. And 11 drowned in Rivers boat mishap, and the family is said to have lost about 4 children in that incident. A really sad one. To this other story, 2023, Supreme Court decides Kanu 6 other appeals tomorrow. National identity number now compulsory for core members, but I do released to report to EFCC daily. At the top corner, we have the story, Jais Bank MD not arrested by EFCC official, NNPC grows profit by 278% to 2.54 trillion naira in 2022. To the Salient Times, federal government implements CBN special investigators report, takes over Titan Trust, Polaris, Keystone, and Union banks. And the President hands over report to CBN as Cardozo sacks bank's management, dissolves boards, new management boards, names of the 2 new emerging banks already being considered. 2 men arrested for exhuming head of a freshly buried corpse at a graveyard in Oyo. Civil War veteran threatened shut down federal government facilities over unpaid 45-year pension arrears. And thugs attack senator in Kogi government house. 6 arrested. Police arrest 3 suspects of a theft of newborn baby in Nasarawa hospital. Alleged fraud, court remands ex-minister Ogunloye in Kuje prison. And at the top corner, I feel betrayed, Shuaibu says. Obazee supporting outsider to become next Edo governor. Some of the stories you find on the front page of the Salient Times. Kemi. Next is First News. In addition to the federal government's takeover of certain banks, there are other stories competing for attention on the front page of First News. Well, still on the takeover of those banks, 259 anti-corruption coalition praise
praises Obazee-led Committee for Job Well Done, recommends him for national honor, urges President to give him more important national assignments. And First News is also reporting on what it calls real reasons Minister of Humanitarian Affairs fell out with the CEO of the Social Investment Program Agency, Halima Shehu. And another story, I'll support Tinubu without apologies, says Atiku's ex-aide, Daniel Bala. All right, other stories on, moving on now to this Nigeria. FCT police dismisses reports of kidnap of 200 persons, says insecurity in Abuja exaggerated. And Nigerian rice farmers cannot meet local demands as Lagos traders complain. 5 relatives, 6 others die in Rivers boat mishap, and 33 billion naira electricity debt. There is an update on that development as the transmission company of Nigeria disconnects Ajaokuta Steel from the national grid. Next before us is the Blueprint newspaper, and the picture story is all about the Super Eagles as they depart to the venue of the 2024 Africa Cup of Nations, AFCON in Abidjan, Cote d'Ivoire. Of course, they've been hosted and bid farewell by the governor, Sanwo-Olu, and his wife, Ibijoke. Other stories on the front page of Blueprint: Customs rakes in 3.206 trillion naira revenue, seizes 16 billion naira worth of items, targets 5.079 trillion naira this year to sustain anti-smuggling campaign. And, well, in Oyo State, Amotekun nabs son with father's fresh head exhumed from grave. Police arrest 3 over stolen newborn in Nasarawa Hospital. A concerning one there. We check out Nigerian News Direct now. World Bank predicts 3.3% economic expansion for Nigeria this year, warns of economic challenges in Nigeria, South Africa, as well as other nations. Atiku lauds Tinubu for suspending Minister Betta Edu and calls for reforms of that ministry. Of course, that's the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs. And Naira plummets to 1,089.51 kobo to the dollar on the official market. Finally is the Daily Independent newspaper. Operators ask NICOM, that's the National Insurance Commission, to punish claims defaulters, worried their denting image of insurance sector. ICPC chairman promises to lead prosecution team in court. Sanwo-Olu receives Otedola's 1 billion naira donation to the Lagos Security Trust Fund as Supreme Court dismisses SDP's suit against Ventiri's re-election. All right, that's the much we can take.
Dominating the papers this morning is a fallout of the special investigation talking about the Obazee report that seemingly has, following the former CBN Godwin Emefiele's matter, and that investigation seemingly unraveled some kind of worms that has led to the sacking of the boards of some of the banks that we have mentioned earlier. And Nigerians are waiting to see what more will come out of this report, this investigative report.
Especially where funds are concerned, where funds of regular Nigerians are concerned. We saw in the papers how there was some form of panic following the news that the federal government had taken over.
Of course, when it comes to our money, Nigerians don't joke.
These notable banks, and they should. One would. It crossed my mind too.
Really?
It crossed my mind too. What would happen? But then, if one looks back, in history, this is a path that we have, told before. At one point in history, recall the Savannah Bank, era. Up till now, many people are still talking about the entire saga, and now it's such a shame that it has to come to this, but it's also some form of clean house mechanism on the part of the central bank, especially following the advice and recommendations of the presidential committee led by Jim Obazee. So, and somewhere in the papers we also saw, some observers, giving accolades to that committee for the work they did. But then, looking at the caliber of the banks in question, a Union Bank, a Keystone, and the likes, it's really concerning, and it also, brings up the issue of the former governor yet again. That's Godwin Emefiele, and all the alleged infractions attributed to him. It apparently will not stop here. There's going to be more announcements. So far, CBN has said let everyone calm down, especially shareholders and people with monies with funds in these banks. It says it's all in a bid to secure and ensure the safety of the funds of those affected, and we hope that there will be more clarity and more sanity in the banking industry as we move forward.
That sanity is it for me. At this point, we need to have some level of sanity in our banking system as it is. We have witnessed a lot of challenges since the administration of the former CBN governor, especially the matter of the cash crunch that we seemingly had not witnessed ever before. I have not recorded all my life that we have gone through that kind of situation. It only happened during his time, and some of these banks, well, those are not the reasons why these banks' boards were dissolved. It is a matter of he being said to have acquired some of those banks illegally.
Right.
So, but some of the issues that affect average Nigerians are what I'm talking to or speaking about with regards to how some of the decisions he made affected Nigerians. And if we have to clean house to ensure we get some stability and we can have some confidence reposed on the banking system, where you can now get a number of persons that are unbanked banked because they now trust the system. Because what we saw with regards to the cash crunch that we witnessed last December was as a result of not trusting the system. A lot of persons felt that, oh, we don't know what will happen again, and so kept their monies with themselves as against the depositing in the banks, where you have to go to the bank and then you are told that you cannot withdraw more than 1,000 naira, 5,000 naira, 20,000 naira, and all of it. And the CBN kept insisting that there is monies available, money in circulation. So all of these issues, if this cleaning of the house, we ensure stability in the system, where people can trust the system, and we know that the policies being brought on board will ensure that the average Nigerian, that's where my concern lies, the average Nigerian is properly taking care of their interests, they're taking care of in whatever decision that is being made with regards to the revelations coming out at the end of the day. I'm fine with it.
All right. And we don't know how far this issue is likely to go. We don't know how far this punitive measures, are likely to go. We recall, certain banks that were asked, talking about the MDs, that is the CEOs, that is, the oceanic banks of the world. We saw how, they had their day in court, and some of these matters are still ongoing. Court, yeah. And we don't know how far this will go, but, from the allegations so far about infractions regarding corporate governance and all of that, they appear weighty. And
they are weighty, actually.
Yeah, and so if the fact that it's even taken over, it's, must be a scandal for the individuals concerned, and then bringing on board, new individuals to the banks. There's the issue of trust, as you say. Only yesterday we were talking about, distribution companies in the power sector that had now been taken over by the federal government, and now we are seeing, more than threats, because last year or thereabout, there were the fears that it would come to this point, and in the banking industry yet again, and now we are seeing a reality of it. But yes, the issue of trust, because apparently, like we had been discussing all this while, the ghost of the cash crunch of last year appeared, not to have rested. We saw how December was. Thankfully, it appears to be easy now, but there's still some, some hitches here and there in accessing cash. But at least it's not as bad as it was, last year and, thereabout. So, yes, we hope that this will be the start of better things to come. There's still so many people with huge amounts of cash stashed up, somewhere other than the banks. And, that is in itself is an aberration. And there doesn't seem to be any headway in how we can get those cash back into circulation, where they belong. And, this unnecessary fear that people are having about, their cash, they don't want their cash, or they don't want to be unable to access their cash, and hence they will keep it,
and that's
somewhere.
Because, during the matter 2 Decembers ago, talking about the cash crunch, a lot of persons died trying to access their own money. So people saw all of those issues where during emergencies you can't access your own money.
And so people appear to.
But at the end of the day,
they are wiser now. Right. I'll keep my
money to myself. So at the end of the day, let's see how this matter develops. If we can hold these persons to account, I believe that will give some Nigerians the level of closure they need, that they can build trust on at the end of the day, as we are looking to clean house.